Hi guys, this is Kirsivan Sol on Kizomba again, and another video that will be like a full lecture. Not much editing, I'll be talking freely, and so this will be a bit longer. I'll be talking more about posture and how you can make it work for you. So get your popcorn, get your pen and paper, get comfortable, and here we go. Posture is super important for us generally in life, not just in dancing. But of course, you as kizomba and semba dancers, you want to know how to make it work for you in your dance. I've had some excellent questions recently here on my channel and in my classes. And sometimes people think that, okay, the difference between Western dances and African dances, as one teacher said, is that the Africans lean a bit forward. And many students have asked me about this same thing. And the short answer is no, leaning forward does not work. And then the two questions that come up is like, but why does it sometimes look like they actually are leaning forward, especially the leaders in semba and kizomba? Why are they leaning forward? And if they're not leaning forward, then how do we create this connection with the bodies when we're dancing? Well, let's get into those. You might have to come back to this video a couple times and test all the things that I'm asking you to test for your own body. If you're a teacher, I hope this helps you in teaching your students. And if you're a learner, I want you to understand this so well that you actually understand things in your own body, so that nobody needs to keep reminding you that you actually get these. Like, I want to say this before we move forward. We have different levels in our learning. Maybe you've heard this. The first level is unconsciously incompetent. Like, you don't know what you don't know. You have no awareness, and you don't know why things don't work. And then you become consciously incompetent. You still don't know why things don't work, but you know that they don't. You know that you don't know. That's the second level. And then the third level is where we are working today to be consciously competent. Like, pay attention to make things work for you. And when you learn this well enough, you're going to level 4. You're going to be unconsciously competent. You can do things without having to think about it. You don't even know why things work, but you just do it. And this is a lot of the Angolan dancers. They are unconsciously competent. And so they can't tell you why things just work when they do it. They can't break it down because it's unconscious for them. It's so in them that they can no longer analyze and reverse engineer it. This is what we're doing here. Reverse engineering everything so that you can then, after analysis, you can do the synthesis and pack things up and make them work. What you're going to test first, you're going to stand on the floor as straight as you can. Stretch your neck a little bit, put your head on top of your body. And then from there, lean forward. You can lean a lot first, and you see that that's really uncomfortable and it's awful. Then lean just a little bit, just ever so slightly. And what that means, what you're going to feel, is that your toes are going to dig into the floor. The front part of your foot is going to feel tense, like you have a lot more weight on the front part of your foot than you would normally have. And your heel is not heavily in the floor. You might feel that your kneecaps get locked. You might feel tension all the way through the back of your legs and all the way through up your legs generally, creeping up to your back. And after a while, when you stand leaning forward, even if it's just a bit, you're going to be tense all the way up to your neck. Now, relax. It makes me tense just to think that. So that doesn't work. Now, of course, in dancing, we're not standing still, but the same principle applies. We cannot move the center of mass forward and put our head in front of the alignment line without having consequences. It's going to be very tiring and taxing to your system. Sorry, my phone is bleeding here. Okay, so you can't be leaning forward and expect to dance well. It's going to be hard for your body, hard to maintain the balance, very hard to do the spinning movements, especially that, you know, when the Angolans are dancing around each other and doing wonderful circular movements. If you're not in balance, then just, you know, it's hopeless. So no. Another thing that you can do, you can go and stand on that floor again and sway just a little back and forth, like exaggerate. And then you're going to find the place where you make that movement smaller and smaller and smaller. What you want to feel is that your heels your weight is going through your heels into the floor, and your entire foot is resting on the floor, and the weight is evenly balanced. You feel your toes already also, but you could play the piano a little bit with your toes if you wanted to. Like they're so relaxed that you could, but they're resting on the floor. That's what you want to feel in your feet at all times. And when you went back and forth like this, you probably felt that your kneecaps were locking at some point. Try that again. Test, like really overstretch your leg so much that the patella locks. Patella is the kneecap. I'll use both words. That the patella just locks in place, and then release it, and then lock it again. Stretch your legs like over straight until the kneecap locks, and then drop the patella. So it should always be in this dropped state. Like you don't want to have it locked. That's not functional. And in our dancing, there should never be a moment when you need to overextend to that degree. So pay attention to your patella. Do you ever feel it locking? Then there's something that you need to release, because it should not lock. Leaning like this, all the tensions. You will easily teach yourself the proper alignment with just these couple things. Feel your feet on the floor. You can play the piano with your toes, but they're resting on the floor, and the weight is through the heel, and the kneecap is not locked. That's a really good start. The next thing, find an area against a wall, something like where you can just stand in front of an empty wall and go right face into the wall. Now, if you have big feet, your feet might be so long that you come off the wall a little bit, but this should still work. You use the wall anyway. When you're just standing there in your normal straight up posture, okay, so what part of your body is touching the wall, if any? Or what part is the nearest to the wall? Just check that first. Okay, and then we start doing this. We'll do two things. Do this one first, like you're standing straight. Don't change anything in your head. Like if I was to put this water glass on top of my head, I wouldn't let it spill. So my head is completely in the same place all the time when I'm in my posture. But then I will do this, like imagine a military posture where you just really stretch yourself up and your shoulders go a bit back, and that changes your posture without changing the position of your head, right? And now feel what part of you is touching the wall, or what part is the closest to the wall. Okay, checking, and you're going to find that it's somewhere around your belly, right? Already touching, or at least the closest to the wall. You can put your hand in between and feel where that contact is. Okay, then another thing. Again, don't change anything in your posture, like your alignment. Your head is where it is. What you do now, you're going to imagine, like I talked in another video before, you're going to imagine that you have a hook here in your solar plexus, actually here, and then you have another hook in your pubic bone, like below your belly button to your pelvis, that front area of that you have these two hooks, and now you're going to draw a little zipper to close them slightly more together without changing anything. You're standing in front of the wall and you just zip up the front, close the pelvis and the rib cage closer together, like zzz. And now, what part of your body is touching the wall, or what is the closest to the wall? And if you're still not touching the wall, just run your hand along the wall and feel, okay, where am I the closest to it? And you're going to notice that it's about here, like a good distance further up than it was when you did this. And how is this possible when you didn't change your head position or your posture otherwise at all, like your alignment? You didn't change it at all. How could you come so much closer to the wall with your upper body? This is how you create the connection with your body in dancing. The first question, like, how do we create the contact if we don't lean forward? This is how. What we just did was we just simply organized our rib cage around our spine in a way that is still completely in alignment. And this hooks together, like closing a little bit in the front. This is especially for the leaders. And you shouldn't be doing this too hard because you won't be able to breathe. But just have the idea that this is how you organize your body so that you create this wonderful inviting space for your partner to come in close to your heart. And if you do this too hard, then it's going to feel tense. But you don't want to be breathing up here in your top part of the lungs anyway. You want your breathing to be below, like you want your diaphragm to draw the air to the bottom of your lungs so that it's your belly that moves, not, this is not correct breathing. Your breathing should not move you here at all, because I'm always belly breathing, so you never see this happening. So your breath, even if you're in this posture where you close the front of your body, your breath will freely flow to the lower part of your lungs, and that's when your belly moves. That's the natural breathing, like the children breathe. So that for the leaders. And for the ladies, how do you respond to this when the leader creates this space for you to come in? The ladies, also in another video, you can check them, but repetition. You're going to organize your rib cage with your perfect alignment so that you're up and open. You're not pushing your boobs forward, and you're not bending your back, like not creating this lumbar spine, like sway back where your butt goes back and your boobs go forward. None of that. They're going to be aligned, but your chest is going to be up. And you can do this by just, this is one thing. You can do this little penguin. I call this a penguin. Put your fingers on your shoulders and then drop those shoulders. Don't tense them. Just lightly move your shoulder blades and your elbows. You're going to go up and down a couple times and feel what this does to your rib cage and your, like how it opens you. If you now drop your arms, you're going to feel that you just put your rib cage in the perfect position to receive all the information from the leader directly through your body. And if your arms ever get tired when you're dancing, then imagine or take a break and actually go and do this a few times. Relax the shoulders, just move your shoulder blades back here and the elbows lightly up and down a few times. Relax, and you will find that you now carry the rib cage where it should be. This creates the really nice dance embrace for both partners. Now, what I've been really interested in studying is when I first went to Africa and I could actually see with my own eyes the women who are carrying heavy loads on tops of their heads. Now, I don't wish that anyone would have to work that hard, but I was very curious about how is that possible, and how they seem to do that is the long story coming again. Okay, so we have two different muscle systems in our musculoskeletal system. Two kinds of muscles. We have various muscle types in our body for other things, but now I'm just talking about what we are using when we're dancing for these purposes, to simplify. So we have the locomotor muscles, or those muscles that create movement, like my biceps. And then we have the muscles that stop the movement or control it or restrict it, that are stabilizers, that keep your spine in place so that you can't damage yourself. And this is what is extremely strong in those women. They're the little multifidae, the tiny muscles around each vertebra of the spine, and the support muscles that we all have, they're so strong. And those muscles don't get tired easily. They can work all day long and just keep working, and you never feel them getting tired. The movement muscles, they get tired. Like if you do biceps curls with a weight, you can't do that very long. They get tired. But the support muscles are very different kind of muscles, and they don't get tired. And what I want to teach you is to take the load off of the wrong system when you've been compensating. Like oftentimes we are using too many of the movement muscles when we should be using more of the support muscles. But a lot of us Westerners, myself included, unfortunately, we don't have a strong enough support muscle system, so we compensate. Even in dancing, when the arms get tired, that usually means that we're working too hard with our arms and not working hard enough with the support system. So why this lesson of the posture and alignment is so important for your health. Generally, if you want to be walking on this planet a long, long time, pay attention to this. So we want to move these things into the support system, because that tolerates a lot more. So studying the Zungueiras, how they do that, they can carry a heavy, like 20 kilo box of stuff or water on their heads. And then they can have the youngest baby on the front of the body and the older next baby strapped to the back of the body, and carry these huge loads all day long, looking like queens. And I am sure that they get really tired after a hard day's work, but these muscles allow them to do that and stay healthy. And this is what generally we see in the Angolans. They have an extremely good posture, and that is why their dancing looks very different, and it looks so effortless. The level of awareness in your learning is what decides how much and how fast you learn. Practice makes perfect, it's usually said, and now there are a couple of variations of this, like practice makes progress and practice makes permanent. Yes, to all of them. Practice makes permanent exactly what you practice. So being aware of what you actually do is the key to practicing the correct things that you want to make permanent, and the things that you want to make perfect. In dance classes, unfortunately, I feel that usually the focus is on learning steps, and then what you're focusing on is learning steps, and memorizing sequences of steps is like, why would you memorize a sequence of steps? Because you're going to forget that next week anyway, and I find that wasting your mental resources. And usually then the students are not aware at all of how they're actually doing these steps. They're losing the control the details. And it pains me that a lot of dance teaching is at this level still, that it's just focused on learning steps. When you have your body mechanics already completely working for you, then you can go ahead and focus on the creative parts, the new choreographies, the new step sequences, the new things. But do that when your body already knows how to do everything. And here again is the difference to many great dancers being not so great teachers, because they have all of this understanding in their body complete. So the only thing they need to think about is creative steps. That's what they teach. And if a student asks them, okay, so but how do you do that? They can't tell you because it's unconscious. So levels of learning, remember, there's unconsciously incompetent. You don't know that you don't know. Then you're consciously incompetent. You know that you don't know. And then you're consciously competent. You know that you know when you think about it. And then you're unconsciously competent. You don't even know that you know. It's just naturally there. I'll use an example of driving a car. If you have a driver's license, I hope you can understand this even if you don't. When you were first learning to drive a car, there were so many things you need to think about. Like, especially if you learn to drive stick shift, you need to think about the clutch and the shift and look in that mirror and then the turning signal and look in that mirror and pay attention to everything at once. And then, oh my gosh, how do I switch to the next gear? Or, so many different bits and pieces you have to maintain simultaneously. And that took a lot of effort. Learning is like this. When you're learning something new, it takes a lot of effort. But little by little, those things became more automatic. And now if you've been driving a car for a while, you don't even think about it. That is an unconscious competence that you just have. And your autopilot takes great care of you. You can drive a long distance and never think about your driving. You can be daydreaming or having a conversation or, singing to your favorite music in the car, and suddenly you just came from point A to point B safely, and you just did it without ever thinking about it. That's the level 4 learning. That's unconscious competence. And in all of dance teaching, I want to move things little by little to that part. Like first, you don't even know what you don't know, but then with practice, careful practice with awareness, we're moving these things little by little further up on the learning scale until most of your dancing is like this, unconsciously competent, that you're just a natural dancer like many of the Angolans are. It's unconscious competence for them. And so they can afford to focus their mental powers on creating new steps and fun stuff in their dancing, because they have everything else already given. That's why we work systematically, and this is why you cannot neglect practicing your fundamentals over and over and over again. This is not something that the beginners do. This is something that all the dancers do until everything is at the level of unconscious competence, and then it's just there. So, pay attention to what you do if you want to learn to do it correctly. And this applies to anything. Like, why I'm bringing these things together, this is like the intersection of so many things. This is part brain science, like neuroscience and cognitive science, and part biomechanics, and a lot of different things coming together from all the different areas in my life. I'm a geek, like I said. Martial arts, horseback riding, animal training, dancing, dance teaching, teaching people other things like theoretical things, all of these. They all combine. any learning organism, whether it's a horse or a chicken or a human, same principles. So the next question, coming back to where I started from, why does it sometimes look like the Angolans are actually leaning forward when they dance? Check another video, I've talked about this, but as a quick repetition again, they're not actually leaning forward because we already know that that would destroy their balance and make it uncomfortable. They are squatting ever so slightly. Test this. Get up off your chair and then think that you're going to sit back on that chair again. How you do that. The first little part of that. That's what you do. That's like a mini squat. What you're doing is you're folding all of your joints. You're bending your knees ever so slightly, your butt's going back ever so slightly, and so your upper body is coming forward ever so slightly to maintain everything in perfect balance. Just folding, like it's like a mini squat. Because when you do that in dancing, it looks like you might be leaning forward ever so slightly, but you're not. You've just organized yourself with more flexed joints, flexed knees, flexed hips, and your head is still in alignment over your center of mass, center of gravity. I have to check what I say sometimes, but that's the idea. And with this posture, they can create a bit more space between themselves and the dance partner. And space and distance, that I'm going to talk about in the next video. I'm going to be talking about distance and directions and positions. And a lot of stuff coming up. Long lessons. Maybe one day I'll have a video team who helps me redo all these and make them into fancy videos with great editing and good examples, and then I can sell them. But for now, this is all free, so take it and use it. And if you're a learner, I hope this helps. And if you're a colleague teacher, I hope this is useful for you in your teaching. And if you wish, you could maybe buy me a coffee on my coffee account. Check that. Like, subscribe so you don't miss anything. And I'll see you in the next video.